So Terry, in talking with you guys in the rehearsal the other day and hearing some new ideas tonight, it seems to me that there's probably at least two reasons why triathletes may struggle with the swim, and I want to highlight that there are two. I think there are two different types of struggle. One is an emotional struggle. I get email after email about triathletes who suffer panic attacks or just dread doing the swim, or their comment may be that they finished the swim leg feeling like they went to war, and then they get on the bike and finish the rest of the 100-some miles. So there's a low efficiency of the sport overall, but also the big difference between efficiency from an elite to an average swimmer. So is this learnable? Is this a learnable skill? How long is it going to take me? What kind of advice do you have for those types of questions?
Well, I'm so glad you brought up the emotional aspect of it, because I don't think I would have thought to even mention it. But when I do talk to triathletes, I emphasize, we've talked tonight quite a bit about the oxygen cost of the swim versus the bike and the run, but we haven't even mentioned the emotional energy that goes into the swim, which you can't even compare. It's a massive difference in oxygen costs. I think it's at least as great, the difference in the emotional strain of swimming. All right, so how does the tempo trainer reduce emotional strain? Well, it's a combination of two things. One is that, of course, we're known for teaching efficient swimming, but I think our emphasis on teaching mindful swimming is probably at least as important as the way we teach efficiency, and I think it will possibly have the larger impact on people over the long term. What we do with the combination of the beep of the tempo trainer and the stroke thoughts that we prescribe to people for certain stroke thoughts for better balance, certain stroke thoughts for better streamlining, such as one you mentioned a little bit earlier, is I have found, and a lot of other people have found as well, that when you combine having one thought, all right, that you apply for every stroke, and the beep that's going on, the combination of the two, a lot of people have found is very, very calming. And what I tell people, whether or not you wear the tempo trainer in the race itself, and some do, and I would certainly not discourage anyone from doing that, but whether or not you wear it in the race yourself, if you spend countless hours practicing calm, focused, mindful swimming, some of it with the beep of the tempo trainer, you develop or you hardwire what I call the cocoon of calm. And that becomes your go-to state. It becomes a state that you sort of, there's a trigger you have that puts you in that state, and you know how to get there during a triathlon swim. I think it's exceptionally important to know how to access that.
So from that emotional side, practicing a state of calm, the more you practice it, the more you can access it in a race, right?
It's like practicing anything else. People don't pay enough attention to practicing a certain mental or emotional or psychological state. Mike was emphasizing before the importance of relaxation. Well, it's mental, emotional, and psychological relaxation just as much as it is physical. Mike, would you agree with that? That's an acquired state just as much as relaxed muscles.
It's completely learnable, and Bobby will recognize this name from the past. There was a man named Bud Winter, a great coach of most notably sprinters, but he coached NCAA champions at every event in track and field at San Jose State. And Coach Winter had trained fighter pilots in World War II and saw that the people who were quite good at dogfighting actually were very relaxed while they were doing it. And he wrote a book called Relax and Win. It's a classic little paperback that you used to be able to get from Track and Field News back in the 60s and early 70s. You can look for it on Amazon, and they're quite expensive because it doesn't exist anymore. But see, maybe that's one of the things you should try to do is find if you can come back and bring out a new edition or a retro edition of Relax and Win, because the mental drills that Coach Winter ascribed will work for all three disciplines in the triathlon, any other sport you want to think about. And it is just an incredible resource for people. And again, rhythm, tempo, simple things about your breathing, don't let your face tighten up. And you talk about the cocoon of calm, and again, this is why Michael Phelps was able to swim so well when his goggles came off. He didn't panic, and he knew he could rely on his stroke count and the feeling of the water to win the race. And again, you see that over and over and over again in all sports. So it's who can relax and who can stay calm when things really get tight. And again, so relax and win, and I think part of that is the calmness you're talking about.
And in the triathlon, especially for beginner triathletes, there's probably nothing more important in the swim than to be able to have an acquired state of calm and stay in it.
Terry, go ahead, Bobby.
Coach Winter used to, he coached the first man to run under 44 seconds for 400 meters ago by the name of Lee Evans. Yep. And he used to promote something called the Brook Trout look. He wanted his sprinters' cheeks to jiggle while they were running to show the state of their relaxation. And I think that plays really well into what Terry was saying, is that, I always say as a coach who coaches running form, I'm trying to get people to return to what they were capable of. And as soon as you mess with autonomic systems in running, you make people inefficient. If you make them breathe at a certain tempo, but swimming by its nature, you want to see the stress levels go up in a triathlete when you tell him to use a different breathing pattern than what he's used to. Is tremendously uncomfortable. Heart rates go up, efficiency numbers go down. It's very, very important for people to realize that psycho-emotional connection.
Well, and talking about the facial expression and the relaxation of the face, Terry, if you think about some of the drills in your book or some of the in your videos and so forth about people keeping their head down and sort of keeping their chin and breathing in a kind of a pocket, and there may be a better word for that, as they breathe, is the same type of thing that helps people keep their face relaxed while they're swimming hard.
Yeah,